Yes.
Okay. My name is Jess, and my research is focused on microalgal physiology of cnidarian symbionts. And nitrogen. Nitrogen.
You are literally the most opinionated person on GMOs and like food culture that I know of.
Really?
Yeah.
I just don't think you're bringing it up enough with people.
Am I not?
I don't know.
Alright. Do you know anything about
GMOs? No.
GMOs and like the golden rice whole debacle?
The golden rice hold of aqua?
Debacle. The whole issue with golden rice and everything.
You talked about it to me a little,
Yeah.
but give it to me again.
So, I think it was Monsanto.
Yeah, they
Of
have
course
their
they are.
rice.
The Native Americans had this rice paddy in the Great Lakes, like wild rice.
And then they took it and now they charge them for it.
They were like, yeah, you can't grow it anymore.
Yeah, because it's ours, right? I mean, it's just what Monsanto does with everything, right?
True.
Is it golden rice? Is it everything they do? But
golden rice was developed to like cure vitamin A deficiency in third world countries.
Oh, wait, I did have this in high school.
Yeah, it's
class.
kind of an issue. Like they were like, yeah, we have vitamin A deficiencies.
Yeah.
And they eat a lot of rice.
Yeah.
Let's just incorporate it into rice.
Yes, I do remember this.
Do you think that's a good way to solve the whole food insecurity issue?
No, but I also don't think there's a problem with fortifying foods. I think it's obviously not a cure to having like it's not going to be a cure to food deserts or food insecurity, but also like we are not getting the vitamins we need in places, and if we can just fortify foods with it, like fortifying foods with calcium, I think that's fine. I don't see much of a problem with that.
So it doesn't solve the issue, but it's not an issue either way.
It doesn't solve the issue in the sense that like it kind of puts a band-aid and you're just like, okay, well that's good. It's fortified and they're good now. But also like for me and you and like people who have access to good foods, having like, especially for me, foods that's fortified with calcium, I'm like, heck yeah, I don't have to work harder to get that, you know, because I don't drink milk. So I think it's fine fortifying foods, especially like a lot of stuff is fortified for like pregnant women too. Like, I don't know, fish oils and foods for pregnancy stuff. And what's the other thing they need when they're pregnant? Don't put this in.
Magnesium.
No.
Bananas.
No, it's something for like neonatal health.
Oh.
And it's not in a lot of foods, but like all pregnancy.
All pregnant people need it?
It's what's food? Folate and folic acid is like, but a lot of foods just have that in them.
Oh, do they?
Well, I think like pregnant foods, like. So I don't think fortifying foods is bad.
But are they fortifying it as a powder? Like, I don't understand fortified foods. Like, golden rice, yes, it is. The rice itself is producing vitamin A. But with calcium fortified foods, are they sprinkle it on top? Like,
I don't really know. Like, I know cereals are all fortified, and milks.
I feel like those are like easy to melt into, you know, milk.
Yeah. So what are you talking about?
Like rice, calcium fortified rice, or they just.
Oh, I don't know if they do that with rice. I'm talking like processed foods that are already being.
Yeah, incorporated into.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on just GMO in general?
Great. I love them.
Yeah?
I hate Monsanto, but I love GMOs.
How do you separate that? Like I don't understand that part. How is it a different entity?
Because you're thinking of GMOs just in the food sense, but like think about science. We use GMOs all the time for
True.
lab. Like the advances we've made, especially with like medical research is insane.
True.
And also, what do you mean, how do I separate it? I separate like so much. It's just like, okay, these big companies are evil.
Mhm.
But
nobody
the
else
practice
is doing it.
of doing it is not evil.
But
We are all doing it. All of our food is GMO. At this point,
by the
not
big companies.
not buy anymore. People were like crossbreeding things to
That's-
get that is GMO. That
True.
is what GMO is.
True.
And people associate GMO just with Monsanto, which understandably then GMO is like gets a horrible name because Monsanto is bad. But all of our food, corn, that's GMO.
It is GMO.
Tomatoes, GMO.
True. But then again, you can't ignore the fact that Monsanto is, creating horrible ass practices.
Yeah, but you can still have small farms with genetically modified organisms. Like,
That
A small
basically
farm-
being bought out by Monsanto at this point. Whole of fucking Nebraska.
true, but that doesn't negate the fact that genetically modified organisms are okay. Like, you can have a small independent farm and you will be growing genetically modified organisms. Okay? Monsanto is bad because they're spraying fields and then they're like, that's actually ours. Okay?
Mm.
But the actual practice of genetically modified organisms is okay. Yeah, Monsanto is horrible because they're just like, shoo, 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 we're going to spray all these pesticides over here and now we're going to claim your farm as ours, which is just should be illegal, but that is like, but that,
Besides the point.
but that doesn't, like, that is separate from what a genetically modified organism actually is.
Mm.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do. But the issue brought up in the readings that we did was like crossbreeding and cross-pollination,
Uh-huh.
and the whole issue with that, because what was it? The rice farmers the Native American rice farmers were like, yeah, this is our sacred fields, and
Yeah.
this is sacred rice, like for us.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, so we're gonna test it, cause I think it was Syngenta and Monsanto.
Yeah.
They were like, yeah, it's not gonna cross-pollinate, it's not gonna affect your thing. We're just doing it for mass production, and you're clearly not producing enough to meet demands.
But I still think that's just them being evil.
Them being evil and not an issue with I don't know, protecting their culturally sacred food crops.
Yeah, that's just like white supremacy. Not supremacy, that's just colonialism. Like,
True.
I don't
know.
think that has to do with the science of GMOs. I think obviously it's escalated to such a degree, but I still think like all factory farming is bad. We can all big farms are bad. But I'm just don't think that we can say, oh, corn is bad because it's GMO. No, it's not. Tomatoes are bad. They're GMO. No, tomatoes are good.
Tomatoes are tomatoes. There's no value attached to it other than
Yeah.
it's a food item.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, yeah, Monsanto is bad, but the idea of people being afraid of genetically modified organisms is also bad. Like, also the whole, this is me getting into a tangent, but
We're all about tangents.
I
here.
just hate food label companies that are just like non-GMO, vegan, blah blah blah, and it's like, okay, but this is just like, I don't know, a piece of spinach. Like, I don't need your 1,000 labels on here. to like get you to buy this. And also, wait, the real issue with this is everything that's marketed as non-GMO, blah blah blah, is also generally more expensive. Okay, and if it's from a small farm, that's okay, because we want to support them. But like, when it's mass produced in these grocery stores, it's like, who are the clients buying this? It's not those natives.
No.
How much money is going back to them? Probably none. Like, it's all food marketing, and it's all just advertised to upper middle class. In my
humble opinion,
but like, look at the marketing on it. Like, that's different than like a farmer's market or like a stand. But like, you go into a co-op and it's like a nice label and very like,
I don't know, even in farmers markets, who's to say that they're not GMO?
Oh, they definitely are.
Fucking seeds.
Yeah, they definitely are. I mean, not all of them, but but I'm saying, even at farmers market, when you could get like non-GMO food, they don't like do the ritzy glamour of the packaging and all of that. So that's why I feel like, but that's just a tangent on food marketing in general and white saviorism. But do I think, and I've always said this, shop local, think global. Does this mean I am the biggest supporter of Monsanto? No, fuck Monsanto. I don't like Monsanto.
No, we swear on this thing.
Okay,
it's
fuck
fine.
Monsanto. But this is also something that at this point we can't be arguing about GMOs versus like, are GMOs good or are GMOs bad? It has to be like an argument in court about the ethics of, oh, we just sprayed your crop with our stuff and now it's ours. Like, that is the argument that needs to be had, not like the idea of, oh, are GMOs good or bad? It's like, no. Is it okay for them to like...
The argument about like specific types of genetically modifying things, like making the seeds infertile. Like, that's being produced.
That
and the concern
for
of,
sure.
Like, cross-pollinating that into like, normal crops and making them infertile. It was the argument that was presented.
That's
I don't
true.
know how viable that is, though. Like,
but that's also like, science can always go too far, and
yeah, I'm sure.
Like, I also don't know, like, but that shouldn't negate all of the good that's come out of things. Anyways,
moving on to aquaculture.
Aquaculture. Okay.
Aquaculture.
Wait, hold on. Can I change something out? Can we pause real quick? Can I go switch something in the room?
Back in business.
Okay, yeah.
Thoughts on aquaculture in general to begin with?
Okay, I think it's great.
Compared to what? Like, great in by itself, or compared to fishing?
More compared to just farming on land. For protein sources, being meat.
Oh, compared to meat.
Yeah.
Why?
Okay.
Explain. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm more focusing on bivalve aquaculture because that's what I know more. I know a little bit about fish farming. Shrimp farming? No. Shrimp farming is the worst thing in the world. Okay, you can have your cow farms any day, but do not have your shrimp farms. Okay.
Shrimp, horrible.
Horrible. Absolutely horrible. Destroys all of the land. Because bivalves clean the water, clean within quotations. Basically, they just like suck up nutrients.
Oh, examples of bivalves.
Oh, oysters, mussels, clams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
It's for the general public. They don't know bivalves.
Yeah. Okay. Oysters, mussels, clams. That's great. They usually grow pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Like 2 years, you can eat them. mussels, you put them on a line, you can eat them really quickly. They also have to, routinely monitor for what are like harmful algal blooms to see if it's safe to eat. I don't know how much monitoring is going on in meat farms. Probably a lot. I just don't know about it. But that's good. Yeah, it's more sustainable. You don't have to like break the bottom up, depending on what kind of bivalves. But you can do it in the open water. You can start a hatchery inside, seed them outside. They don't need a bunch of space. You can grow things vertically, grow things out.
Do you think people will change their diet to eat more bivalves if they were cheaper?
I think
is it like a preference thing?
I think it's location, like
Closeness to the farms?
yeah, like I don't see people in the middle of America really eating more. So I guess I am talking more just like coastal communities, and they're like relatively easy to farm. So if you do live in like,
Iowa?
No, I meant like a poor country on the water. Like if you live like in Mexico, there's a lot of like aquaculture there, and it's very like self-sustaining for them, especially if they don't have a lot of farmable land. So I just think it's a good protein source for areas that might not have the land to like have farms, because that's a lot of coastal communities with everything. But for like Iowans, I guess I just don't think about them. But then it's just like, I don't know, at that point, maybe it would just be better to buy cows, but like buy from a local farm instead, because then you have to think about like the
global.
Yeah, shop local, think global, because then there's like the cost of transport, which honestly the carbon footprint on that is like very minuscule, and we just overinflate that. But I don't think it's that expensive unless you go to like restaurants, really. That might be a lot, but I may just have like,
Maybe you don't buy enough bivalve meat. It's quite expensive.
well, I think really what it is I just like worked where there were farms, so we could just harvest whenever we wanted. So I literally never paid. But
Thoughts on low fish aquaculture?
I think it gets more of a bad rap than it needs. Like, obviously there have been issues with salmon farming, but I think we kind of focus on these one case studies where like the salmon broke loose and then disease spread, but there's been so many steps to take against that, and there's so many more case studies since then about like what they're doing to keep the pens safe and like stop spread of disease, and it's kind of just like ignored by like, oh no, is it King? Are they the big salmon company who had that big?
I have no clue.
I think it's King, but anyways, like
Yeah.
there have been mistakes in the past for sure, but
What if it's like an issue of marketing?
oh, how like wild caught just reads better than farmed.
Do you think that's like an agenda put forward by those like fishing people? I don't know. Established industries trying to keep their share of the market. Like who's benefiting from these,
From saying wild caught versus farmed?
From like more spreading the bad things of salmon farming, like the bad side, I guess.
I think it's more like Greenpeace that is doing that. Like,
Okay.
I don't think the wild fisheries are doing that much.
Okay.
It's like,
NGOs with an agenda.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really what it is.
Mhm. Okay. I mean, yeah, I see it. I can see green peas going nuts over it.
Yeah.
And PETA?
But again, I don't know as much about like fish farming as aquaculture.
Yeah. Every time I think about like pets and animals and pets, I think about PETA and how crazy they go.
It's like, what are you even saying right now? Like the fact that that's still an organization. It's a bit, right? It has to be a bit.
Someone must be donating. Like, how are they setting themselves afloat?
I don't know. They need to like put that money in bigger issues, like the lawsuit against Monsanto.
Truly. Cool.
All right, what else you got for me? Yeah, I think aquaculture just like gives money directly to the farmers. It's a lot more like you're giving. I mean, I think probably wild caught is similar
To what?
to like the money going more directly to. But I'm more doing a comparison to land, meat versus
Red meat industries.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
fish.
like you're not clear cutting to start your oyster farm.
True.
So
Cool.
you got other things?
I guess.
You don't have to. We can be done.
I think we are done. I don't know.
Huh?
I think we are done.
Okay, great.